employment law update seminar because I'm an employment solicitor. I can do it on my dissatisfaction. I was dissatisfied working for someone else because I had 2 children, one of which at the time was deaf, not anymore, but he was there. With speech therapists and appointments, I wasn't pleasing anybody, wasn't pleasing them, wasn't pleasing me. I had this vision that actually clients were coming to the firm because of me, they weren't coming to the firm and happened upon me. So I thought, well, if I could do that for someone else, I could do that for me. So that was it. There wasn't really a first step. The first step was giving me my resignation, I guess, and saying I'm off. And then I set up my own business. That was 2009. But I'm very conscious that big firms do these employment law updates, and there I am with my clients and going, do you want one of those? Okay, all right. So it'll probably be quite cosy because I look after some key clients and they're coming along to listen to what's going to happen. There is a lot going on, an awful lot that is reassuringly good news because it's going to stop spurious claims to an employment tribunal because they are expensive, and not because of me, they just are expensive. Taking your time out and things like that. But with that comes the air of caution that it won't get you out of jail every single time. You can't sort of say, look, this person won't invest £250 to make a claim to an employment tribunal. You have to assume that they will. You have to still follow the law and still do everything properly. And there's quite a lot in the wings as well coming along. And I tell it how it is, I tell it in normal language, including my analogy on one of the most complicated areas of employment law that is based purely on decisions going to the European Court of Justice. And I do an analogy to do with Doctor Who for that one. And I'm waiting for someone to quote it back to me because when I say it, they go, oh, I get it now, got it, right. But it is an analogy using Doctor Who because I don't think people should leave going, I don't really know what the advice was, but I know she told me to do this. You need to know why you're doing something in employment law, otherwise you won't get it right. And I only tell you how to do things or risks. I don't tell you what to do in your business. I won't not talk to you if you turn around and say, that's fine, but I'm not going to sack that person, or that's fine, but I'm still going to sack that person. I still talk to you, I just say, I did warn you. And give you the risk assessment. And sometimes in business, do you know what you do? You have to take that risk and go through with it, whatever may happen. And unfortunately, sometimes the bigger firms have got the luxury to do that. They've got the luxury to say, well, I know it's going to cost me less to settle this, but there's a principle. But they've also got the risk that if they get it wrong and they have a decision against them, the next 50 employees who know about that case going on, because it's all part of the gossip, will think, he managed to get some money, maybe I can go, so they have to get it right as well. I'm on the phone all the time. I probably am one of the most eccentric solicitor that you know. Yeah. I will answer the phone while I'm walking my dogs, and I did step out of my office during the summer to have one of my clients, oh my God, what's that? My chickens. Sorry, they're just laying an egg. They're making a noise in the background. So, I'm very human. I waited around my 2 children. But yes, I'm running this. I'd like bums on seats. So, it is on the 20th. It's in the morning, actually. But finishing about 11:30. Now, I also happen to know a guy called Dom who lives there. He doesn't own it yet, his dad still owns it, but he lives there, and he has said if he's around, he may well give us a little tour around, but it's just lovely next door, it's beautiful. In Gatestone Hall.
Oh right.
So he might give us a bit of a tour if he's free, but I don't know yet, because his son plays rugby with us. How am I doing on time?
You're fine. Do you want to wrap up? That's fine.
Just to explain a little bit, why would I want an employment solicitor? Well, actually, most people do say at the end of whatever we've done, don't take this the wrong way, but I hope I don't see you again. That's fine. I do the setting up of businesses, I would do the employment contracts and what have you. But mainly, I'm usually the backroom person for somebody who don't have personnel departments. I've just hit a situation I'm not really sure what to do. I have an awful lot of general files, and people just touch base to say, I'm just about to tell this woman that her probationary period is not okay, and that I probably we're going to part company, what do I need to say? What do I need to do? Classic one this morning, I said, just to let you know, we're going to have to make some redundancies. The guy hasn't got enough service to be produced in this unfair dismissal, so I assume I'm all right. I mean, the thing is, he's part-time, and I can cope without him. And I went, hang on a second, you can't get rid of someone because they're part-time. And he said, no, I'm actually getting rid of him because he's got the less service, but I also know I can cope without him. But I would want him back as soon as possible. So they tell him, you'll have him back as soon as possible, but the finances aren't there. But if you turn around and the first thing you say is because he's part-time, I'll tell you now, he's got a claim regardless of the length of service. So it's sort of running through, well, I'm just about to say this, what's that? And actually he didn't mean that, but he'd gone and said it. He thought that was the nicer way to sell it. And I went, no, that's not the nicer way to sell it. In fact, that's the illegal way to sell it. Don't bother selling it, focus on that you may well, you have it back as soon as you can. So it's things like that people run past me every day. We're just about to do this, we're just one in the summer. We've got somebody we think is swinging the lead, and we're pretty sure he's going to go and watch Manchester United tonight. So we're talking about getting a private detective. What do you think? And I went, right, okay, you know he's off for a leg problem. What is your private detective going to show you? Your private detective is going to show you that he went to see Manchester United, but he can quite easily say yes, because at any point in time I could stop driving if it was hurting me. At any point in time I had control to go home. And actually my leg isn't so bad that I have to be housebound. So you will learn nothing unless you phone him beforehand and he says, do you know what, it's so bad I can't even get out of the house. And then probably the detective sees him go out of the house. So you need to know what actually you're asking the detective to see. He's unlikely to be standing near enough to him to jump up and down in the stands. I think that's really unlikely. You're more likely to get a load of information that you actually can't do anything with. And I said, if I were you, I would ring him. Tell him that you'd like to talk to him about it. As soon as he knows that you're actually focusing on him being absent, he'll be back. And that'll be that. And I think that whole thing resolved itself in a week, and with no private investigator getting any more money. So it's kind of running through things. I've been qualified since 1995, so a long time, and all that time doing employment law. And the bulk of what I do is actually, and one of the main questions I ask whenever someone says, we've got this problem, we've got this, tell me about the employee. You're not going to treat one employee the same as another in exactly the same scenario if they've got different personalities. Because part of what you need to do is judge that person. Part of you need to know how they're going to react. You are not going to have a box of tissues ready for the guy who's likely to chuck the table at you. You're going to handle it completely differently. And part of what I do, I guess, is also suggestions on how to handle it. But mainly, look, here's your orange cone in the road. We need to steer you through the cones to get to the other side of what you want to achieve. And it may be that none of you ladies really actually have any employees or anything else like that, but you're going into businesses every single day, and the majority of the work that I get, say, by far the majority, is actually from somebody has recommended you to me. And I've had about 2 or 3, which is, are you the Jane Williams? I don't know. What do the Jane Williams do? There's an awful lot of me who are solicitors, Jane Williams in the world anyway. And it's quite bizarre, you have to unravel, did you? And I had one guy who rang up after I'd been working for myself for about 12 months, and he rang up and he said, and the conversation is, are you the Jane Williams? I don't know, what did the Jane Williams do? And I might own up to it. And he said, well, 10 years ago, you acted for a solicitor who'd done something negligently, and you defended him for what he'd done. And basically, yeah, that was me. And I went, yes, that was me. And he went, that was me! I was like, I've never seen someone so excited to say I screwed up on an employment case and you helped me. But anyway, and I went, he said, that was me! Anyway, I need you now. I went, right, fine. He now went on to work for very large tractor plant industry, and suddenly he decided, oh God, we've got this employment claim. What do we do with that? I know, I'll ring that girl. And he'd spent about half an hour, 40 minutes finding me, which is great, very lovely. But yeah, that's kind of what I do. So I do employment contracts, do discrimination, I just, steer you through the code, steer you with what you want to do. Redundancy isn't the get out of jail card free. Everybody thinks it is. They always say, I tell you what, it's really gritty, really emotional. I can see that there's, problems with the person's health, so we're going to call it redundancy. No, you're not. Because one, if you call it redundancy and it isn't, you could actually be participating in an insurance fraud if the person has got redundancy insurance. I had a very famous client who said to me, the only reason he wants me to put redundancy, I'm sure, is because of the thing with his family. He wants to be able to say to his family that this dismissal isn't his fault. Actually, he was using this, really useless. I'd had calls about this guy for months before they actually dispensed with his services. And I said, no, you can't. It's not due to redundancy, and we can't rewrite dismissal as being redundancy. But I'm sure it's only so he could show his family, and we really don't mind. And this is one that if you picked up a newspaper, you'd go, oh, they're in trouble. It was that kind of name. And I said, you have to stay firm on this, don't worry about it, this solicitor will understand, you do have to stay firm. And they came back and they said, he's told us that the reason he wants it is because of the insurance. You were right. Yeah, no, no, he wanted to be able to say, I've been made redundant and therefore claim the insurance. No, you haven't lost your job and I'm afraid that's it. But they could have been in deep, deep water if they'd done that. Redundancy is also only potentially their reason to dismiss somebody, and the minute you get into whether or not you've acted reasonably, there's a whole load of hurdles to go through. And you can't even build the hurdle if actually there's no redundancy there and you're about to replace them. It just doesn't work.